Hello, fellow detectives. Welcome to Unlocked, the official podcast for all things Nancy Drew by Her Interactive. I'm your host, Tammy Tuckey, and this week we welcome the voice cast of Codes and Clues.
Hi, I am Marieve Herington, and I play Nancy.
And I am Melissa Mabie, and I play Beth.
I'm so excited to have you guys on the show because I kind of downloaded this app on my phone maybe like 2 weeks ago because I'd seen the advertisements on YouTube and on Her Interactive's channel, and I was so excited to finally play a different type of Nancy Drew game because I think traditionally most of us fans were used to the computer game. So I was kind of startled. I was like, oh, it's on my phone now. I can take it wherever I want.
Oh yeah, Nancy's moved into a new age. She's very hip and current now.
I love it because, again, the game is described as an experience for critical thinking and coding for young gamers, so 5 to 7-year-olds. So I'm not that young, but I will say I really had a fun time playing this game because still it's like a mystery. You have to figure out, who did what, and you're still looking for things. It's kind of like a nice I Spy game as well, too, with the mystery. So before we get into more talk about the game, I'd love to hear about how you both got to enter the entertainment industry, especially the voiceover industry, because that's not one it's not one that's easy to crack into, from what I hear.
Sure, yeah. So, so I sort of, nobody's going to like this answer, but the answer is I kind of fell into it because I was a kid who, at 8 years old, I kind of was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to act. And my father, instead of doing what most parents would do and sign his kids up for a summer camp or something, got me an agent and was like, all right, let's get to work. And then I'm from Toronto, Canada, and because the market is so much smaller there than in the U.S., specifically in Los Angeles or New York, where you would have separate agents for your on-camera work, your voiceover work, your commercial work, your theatrical work. So I had one agent there who's just in Toronto. They have one agent who handles everything, and she started sending me out for voiceover, animated things and singing some theme songs. I'm a singer as well, and it just started to stick, and I loved it. And I've been doing it professionally since I was 12. So it has been a long road. I had to sort of start again when I moved to Los Angeles, but yeah, that's how I got into it.
And I guess for me, I had a much later start. I did a lot of improv and acting in high school and college, and I always really loved to act, and I just doing a lot of goofy sort of voices and just being animated. And speaking of animated, I also have a different life as I work in production in animation as well. And so about 10 years ago, I'd say, I was working at an animation studio, and I was goofing around in the office and just doing some weird quirky voices, and the director came by and had asked if I had ever done voiceover before. And I said no, but would totally be into it, and was curious to learn more about it. And he's like, that's great, because we have to do a quick recast on a voice. Can you come in and do some ADR? I had no idea what that was. And so I went into a voice recording studio, recorded, and from there it just sort of snowballed. And so it kind of like Marieve, you just I fell into it a little bit, but at the same time, it's been one of these things that I've been loving so much, chasing. And then from there, got an agent, and the whole thing is kind of just just happened and grown over the last couple of years. So it's been a wild ride.
Well, definitely if my agent had called me up and said something along the lines of, well, they're recasting the Nancy Drew voices for a different game, a different series, I kind of probably would have fangirled and been like, yes, yes, yes. So was that your response too when you kind of heard about the initial auditions for Codes and Clues?
Well, so my sort of way in was a little bit different in that I knew I'm part of a group of a bunch of writers and actors and creative people, and I was referred to do sort of to do all the voices actually for to try and get the product launched. So I was involved with it kind of from before it was even a thing. So at that point, then, because I had done every single role. I had done the Bess role. I had done the George role. And I believe I even did the dog. I can't remember. It was a while ago. And then it was like, okay, now that the game is really built out, it makes sense to have different actors. So I kind of auditioned in the sort of beta testing or I guess not beta testing, in the pitch stage of the project. So I was involved pretty early.
And I was actually involved in the project outside of Marieve. Actually, she's been a part of this thing forever, since its initial start. And then I was a part of it in the next phase when it actually started getting developed, because as it turned out, I was actually on the development team for the game from the animation studio that I was working in. And when it came down to casting, it just became kind of one of those things where we had a couple different roles and we sent out auditions, and I had just plainly asked, like, I do voiceover. Can I audition for this? And they were like, sure. And I did it. And I got the role of Bess. So it's kind of funny because, like, for this particular project, I was actually working on both sides of the glass, so to speak, kind of working on the script and working with the script writers and the development of the game, and then also playing the role of Bess. What's awesome is that, there's so many different projects coming out right now that are really geared towards STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math. And, and this game just being a part of that whole movement as well, to get girls interested more into STEM and those different subjects in school. And anytime I could be a part of, me being female and wanting to promote how important it is to be interested in those types of subjects, I'm always game.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's really important from a young age because these ideas about what are typical sort of masculine and feminine careers are developed really, really early. Yeah. And so the younger that these girls can get involved with technology and STEM, it'll seem totally normal. Of course I belong in this sector. Why shouldn't I? And so the possibility that you can open up, a kid's eyes to a field that they perhaps haven't felt welcome in previous generations is really wonderful and exciting.
Well, I thought it would be fun to talk to Nancy and Bess. So if you guys are up for it, I have a couple questions for them. Would that be all right?
Sure.
Okay, so first off, I have to welcome Nancy and Bess to the show. I know George is off. She is doing some other things at the moment, but it's great to have both of you here today. And, one of my first questions is, Codes and Clues, we have an interesting case there, but I was wondering, are there any other cases that have been some of your favorites to solve that we still have not heard of before?
I'm going to have to think about that for a second. What do you think, Beth?
I would really like to solve the case of what I should probably wear to school tomorrow and the next day. I mean, you have no idea how difficult it is sometimes to really figure out who stole your jacket, and then you realize that it's on the floor. So that's always embarrassing.
Yeah, I would say that, I think it would be interesting to crack the case of who gave me this particular gift at my last birthday party, because it had no card. And I think that it could be interesting to retrace the steps of who came to the party, who I remember bringing a gift, and all of that, because it can get very confusing when at a birthday party you don't open the gifts, and then after the fact and people leave, you don't know who gave you what.
That is really good, Nancy. I mean, I do recall at your birthday party, I did have a list of people that gave gifts, and I did tend to write them down. Maybe that would be the first place we look.
I think that's a great step one. You don't get the title super sleuther for nothing. You know what I mean?
That's true. I wish I was a natural sleuther. I'm not that great. That's why I kind of rely on you guys to solve these mysteries and me to be entertained, because I'm not that great. But it's always fun to play Codes and Clues. I really did enjoy playing that game. But, when you're not solving cases, what are your favorite hobbies to do together as a group? Whether it be a sport or a trip to the mall.
Yeah, we tend to rotate as to who gets to pick what we get to do on a Saturday afternoon. Sometimes we'll do some art together. Sometimes we'll go shopping. We all take turns deciding, if we're going to play kickball, George's suggestion, we take turns.
Yeah, we also really like working on our robot puppy, because that always needs to get new programming every week, depending on what's going on. This week, we just taught the robot puppy to do flips and to fetch, and there's so many different things. I didn't even realize that you could train a robot puppy that much.
Also, we have talked about possibly drawing up some plans for a robot kitty. We'll see if it happens or not, but we'd like to give him a friend to play with, too.
Oh, I really hope it happens.
Oh, me too. That would be a great idea. I think I'm still jealous that you guys have a robot dog. So there you go. And finally, my last question: who would you girls like to call for a hint to help you on your next case? Whether it be your friends Ned, Frank Hardy, or Joe Hardy.
Ooh, that Joe Hardy is a dreamboat.
Yeah, I don't know. It would just depend on the situation as to, were they all at my birthday party if we're solving that particular case? It would just depend on a situation-by-situation basis. So you have to remain very flexible when you're a super sleuther.
I love it. Well, thank you, Nancy and Bess. It was so nice to talk to you, and I hope we get to hopefully hear about a new cat robot. That would be fantastic.
Just an idea worth throwing around.
Yeah, we'll see if it happens, but fingers crossed.
You guys are always on top of your game. Great. I know, because I want to tell the audience, I never usually give these questions to any of our guests, so it's more of an improv thing, and everybody always blows me away, because you guys are just quick fire, and I love it that this is the first time we've had a group interview, so I love the quick fire that you guys are going off of each other. It's just great. Do you guys get to record with each other at all for the game?
No, we recorded separately for this particular game. Although, wait, because it was a while ago, did we do a couple lines together?
We may have done a couple lines together. The funny thing is, I was there. I was there for the record, so as being on the production side. So it's hard to remember if I was in the booth.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, they were mostly individual.
Well, are there any other upcoming projects that you'd like to share so our listeners can go ahead and check them out, whether it be a game or maybe a TV feature or a movie feature?
Oh gosh, there are some very exciting things coming down the pike. The one show in particular with Disney that I can't talk about just yet as to what all that is, but I would invite your listeners to follow me on social media because I'll be able to talk about that, I think, pretty soon. But I've got some episodes coming up on a character that I do on Doc McStuffins is coming back, a character on The Lion Guard. Gosh, what else is going on right now? On Sophia the First, and on Butch Hartman's new show, Bunsen is a Beast, on Nickelodeon. So, yeah, those are some of just top of mind, some shows you can see me in soon.
And I'm working on Currently, I play the voice of another STEM project. I currently do the voice of Addison, the Netflix original series Project MC Squared, and so the audience can check out that as well on Netflix, which is rounding out its third season. So so in that series, I play a talking digital notebook. So so that's always, so it's really fun, and it's kind of the same, getting girls interested in STEM research and less coding, but more sleuthing. So it's always fun. These projects tend to find me.
Cool. I cannot thank you guys enough for coming on the show. I do want to remind our listeners that we will be posting all of the social media accounts for both our Nancy and our Bess here below in the show notes, so you can go ahead and follow them on Twitter and like their Facebook page and check out their website. And my final question for our interview is, if you could describe your experience working with Her Interactive and being a part of the Nancy Drew universe using one word, what would it be?
I would say inspiring.
Yeah, innovative.
Brave and bold.